Welcome back. In our last lesson, we explored one of the most serious consequences of depression: suicidal thoughts and behavior. We talked about the warning signs, how to respond with compassion, and the urgent need to support people before they reach a crisis point. But one question remains: why do so many people stay silent, even when they're suffering deeply? That's the focus of this final lesson in Section 3, Stigma, and the barriers that prevent people from seeking help. Because before we can offer care, we must understand what holds people back from receiving it. What is stigma? Stigma is the negative attitude or belief that something is shameful, dangerous, or unacceptable. When it comes to mental health, stigma leads to fear, silence, and exclusion. There are three main types of stigma. 1. Public stigma, when society sees people with mental health conditions as weak, dangerous, or cursed. 2. Self-stigma, when individuals begin to believe those negative messages about themselves. 3. Structural stigma, when health systems, workplaces, or schools make it harder for people with mental health conditions to get support or opportunities. In many communities, people with depression are told to snap out of it, pray harder, or just be strong. They're labeled as lazy, dramatic, or even spiritually attacked. As a result, they hide their pain and delay getting help. What other barriers exist? In addition to stigma, there are several practical and emotional barriers to seeking care. Lack of knowledge. People may not recognize symptoms of depression or know where to get help. Fear of being judged, especially in small communities where privacy is hard to maintain. Gender roles and expectations. Men may be told not to show emotion. Women may be blamed for their own suffering. Religious or cultural beliefs. Mental illness may be seen as a spiritual failure, punishment, or shame on the family. Financial cost and access. Care may be too far away, too expensive, or simply unavailable in rural areas. Together, these barriers create a wall of silence, and that silence can be deadly. Let's pause here and reflect. What messages about mental illness are common in your community, faith group, or workplace? How might those messages be helping or hurting people who need support? Sometimes it's not just systems that need to change, it's the stories we tell. A real-life example. In a farming village outside Kano, a young man named Ibrahim begins hearing voices and isolating himself. His family believes he is cursed and refuses to let him leave the compound. They fear the shame it will bring. But a trained community volunteer visits the home, listens without judgment, and explains that what Ibrahim is experiencing is a treatable condition. She shares stories of recovery, offers practical help, and over time, the family agrees to bring him to the clinic. What broke the silence wasn't pressure, it was empathy and understanding. So how can we reduce stigma and break barriers? Here are 3 powerful steps. 1. Educate others. Talk openly about mental health, using simple, respectful language. Share that depression is common, treatable, and nothing to be ashamed of. 2. Use your influence. Whether you're a teacher, pastor, market leader, or youth mentor, your words matter. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. 3. Lead by example. If you seek help when you're struggling, or show kindness to those who do, you make it safer for others to do the same. In summary, stigma leads to shame, silence, and delayed care. Barriers to seeking help include fear, lack of awareness, cultural beliefs, and poor access. You can reduce stigma by educating, advocating, and showing compassion. You don't need to solve every problem, but you can be the person who says, "You're not alone. I'm here, and there is help." This brings us to the end of Section 3, where we explored depression from many angles: its causes, its effects on daily life, how it impacts the mind and body, the risk of suicide, and the barriers that keep people from speaking out. In Section 4, we'll turn our focus to something even more sensitive, but deeply important: understanding suicide risk more fully, and how to support someone through crisis. But before we move on, here's your final reflection for this section. What can you do this week to help reduce stigma in your community, workplace, or family? What conversations need to start? And how can you help create a safe space for them? Let's keep building a culture of understanding, one voice at a time.